did it, Charlie! You found the golden ticket! You're going to make your way to Mr. Wonka's workshop! Of course I'm joking. There's no chocolate bar. And this golden ticket's only going to get you a 5 on your AP test. This video is the biggest compilation of AP Macroeconomics, the first semester of your two-part macro and microeconomics series. It's a combination of everything we've learned so far: ADAS graphs, fiscal and monetary policy, loanable funds graphs, forex graphs, and money market graphs. So, let's head over to the chalkboard to find out more.
The golden ticket, a concept so important that the chalkboard's going to full screen for this video. So, the golden ticket, your key to a 5. So, we're going to start by looking at the monetary policy side of the golden ticket. So, we're looking at the monetary policy, right? And the way that it works for each of these is that the monetary policy and the fiscal policy side, once we get there, is going to, each side of the golden ticket is going to have two sides. There'll be the expansionary side, and there'll be the contractionary side. So we're going to be looking at a couple of different questions that's kind of going to walk us through this golden ticket and kind of just to help us review everything that we're going to need to know for the test. So first question is going to be, what is the problem? Basically, what is the problem that each type is trying to solve? Remember, we're looking at monetary policy right now. So it's basically asking the expansionary monetary policy, what is it trying to fix? Well, that's trying to fix a recession. And what is a contractionary policy trying to fix? It's trying to fix inflation, right? Recession, inflation, we learned about that in the very first chapter of this unit. So the next question we're going to ask is, what policy tools will be used? Well, you have to remember that this is monetary policy, which means that for expansionary, it'll be buying bonds, increasing discount rates, and increasing the reserve ratio, while for contractionary, it'll be selling bonds, decreasing discount rate, and decreasing the reserve ratio. Basically, in the expansionary policy, it'll be everything it can be to decrease the supply of money, while for the contractionary policy, it'll be everything they can do to increase the monetary policy. And again, when I say they, I do mean the Fed, because this is, again, monetary policy. So what happens to the interest rates on this side of the golden ticket? Well, for that, we're going to be looking at the money market graphs. So we're going to throw the money market graphs up there, and we're going to see the money market graph. You're going to see has the interest rate on the y-axis, the quantity of money on the bottom, and then shows the supply versus the demand of money. So you have the two supplies of money. You basically see with expansionary policy, the supply of money is going to increase, right? So the quantity of money is going to go up, and the interest rate is going to go down as the demand goes up. You see the exact opposite thing happening in the contractionary policy, where interest rates are going up as demand falls. Remember, again, with expansionary, they're trying to cause more spending, which means lower interest rates, which will cause more people to, well, I'm getting a little ahead of myself, but lower interest rates in expansionary policy, higher interest rates in contractionary policy. Now, what I was starting to go into is what happens to the aggregate demand. So, of course, we're looking at the ADAS graphs for both of these, and we're going to throw them up there. So you see how they have our gaps on there. There's a little bit of a mistake in the contractionary graph where it's supposed to be flipped, but you can still kind of see the point with it. which is actually, it's also going to take us into one of our future questions. So focus more on the expansionary side for this one. Remember, the contractionary side is the opposite. So you remember with expansionary, if we can go back. Remember, with expansionary, interest rates are falling, right? Which means that which means that more people are going to want to spend money. So demand for more people are going to have money. And so aggregate demand, which you'll remember is just the real GDP, business investment spending and big ticket consumer items are both going to increase, which is going to bring up the aggregate demand. The contractionary, of course, has the opposite, where higher interest rates lower the consumer's big ticket item spending and business investment spending. So, of course, we're now going to look at what we've learned most recently. What happens to the value of the dollar on the Forex? So, we have our Forex graph up here. Basically, what you see is that as our interest rates go down for the expansionary policy and people begin to spend more, other people are going to demand our money more. So yes, you see Forex here, you're going to have more people demanding our money. So demand is going to increase because of the increase in our interest rates. While contractionary, as Forex with the expansionary, our interest rates are falling, so less people are going to bring their money into our economy. So the value of our dollar is going to depreciate in the expansionary policy, while it's going to appreciate in the contractionary policy because our interest rates are higher, so more people want to bring their money in. More people from foreign countries want to bring their money in. So, of course, with depreciation and appreciation, what's going to happen to the net exports? Well, with expansionary, net exports will increase, AD will increase, and the inflationary gap will follow. Well, the opposite will happen with contractionary, where net exports will decrease, AD will decrease, and the recessionary gap will follow. Basically, once you cure one side of the ticket, you usually find yourself on the other side of the ticket, kind of leading to that market cycle that we again talked about at the very beginning of this unit, where you have your troughs, your valleys, and you have your peaks, where you have your recessions and your times of economic well-being. We're now going to take it to the other side, like flip side of the ticket. So if we were looking at two sides of the one side, we're now going to look at the fiscal policy side of the ticket. So it's exactly like the other one. We have both sides, one being expansionary and one being contractionary. We're going to go through very similar problems with one difference that I think you'll pull out very quickly. So again, what is the problem with an expansionary gap? You're going to have the recession. If you are implementing expansionary policy, it'll be to cure a recession. And if you have if you're implementing contractionary policy, then it's because you're doing inflation. Which policy tools are going to be used? Remember, this is fiscal policy, so it's the federal government spending. So they'll be either decrease taxes, increase spending for their expansionary policy, or they'll increase taxes and decrease spending for their contractionary policy. So what's going to happen to interest rates? Well, you can see the answers right here, whoopsie daisy. But what's going to happen is you're going to be looking at the loanable funds graph. And basically what you're going to get is that loanable funds, where with expansionary policy, as the government is spending more, the demand for loaned funds is going to increase. Well, the government needs more money because they're either receiving less from taxes or because they're spending more in general. So you're going to see interest rates increase for that one. And for contractionary policy, since the government isn't needing that money because they're either receiving more money from taxes or because they're spending less, interest rates are going to go down. And of course you might be saying, hey Duncan, wait, we're back at interest rates. And I'm like, yes, exactly, we're back at interest rates, because that's kind of the path that the golden ticket takes. you have to take a different graph because you're looking at a different type of policy, but you're going to find yourself back to the interest rates. And of course, where is this going to take us? Well, what happens to the value of the dollar? That'll take us back to the Forex, where we will again see that there'll be depreciation and appreciation with our dollar based on rising and falling interest rates between how other countries want to either invest in our markets or not invest in our markets, because they can either get better or worse deals depending on where they're at. And of course, what will happen to net exports? It's the same thing that we learned last time, where in relation to appreciation and depreciation, where with the expansionary policy, net exports will decrease, AD will decrease, the recessionary gap will follow. For the contractionary, net exports will increase, AD will increase, and the inflationary gap will follow. The important thing to remember with this is that it's a step-by-step process, and you can find yourself through this step-by-step process at any point in the test. Remember, when in doubt, graph it out. When in doubt, graph it out. It's very simple. When in doubt, graph it out, because the graphs will tell you the story that will tell you the answer. The graphs will always give you the answer that you need.
I'm gonna be honest, that's all you guys need to get a 5 on the test. Good luck, guys.